I've lived in our neighborhood for more than 20 years. I've seen weddings, funerals, births, all kinds of things. But nothing has ever stayed with me like what happened in the Mensah family. I still hear the screams sometimes at night. It started the day of Christabel's traditional wedding. She was the younger daughter, about 25, full of life, always smiling. Sandra, her elder sister, was 28, quiet and kind. They had a cousin, Grace, who lived with them. The three of them were like triplets, always together, always laughing. People used to call them the three hearts of the Mensah house. Their father, Mr. Mensah, was a retired teacher. Their mother Comfort sold fabrics in the market. A peaceful, decent family. But peace doesn't last forever. As they grew older, people in the neighborhood started talking. You know how it goes, every auntie and neighbor saying, "When will Sandra marry? Christabel and Grace are getting old too." It started as jokes, then turned into pressure. Sandra felt it the most. Every family gathering, someone would tease her about being the oldest and still single. She laughed it off, but you could see it hurt. Then Christabel met a man, Kofi. A good young man who worked in Accra. When he proposed, the first people she told were Sandra and Grace. That night, the three of them screamed and danced in their room. They didn't sleep at all. Even we neighbors could hear them singing and laughing. Nobody knew that laughter would be their last together. On the day of the traditional wedding, the sun was high and the air smelled of fried plantain and perfume. Everyone came, family, friends, church members. Everything went smoothly until someone noticed something strange after the ceremony. When Christabel stood up from her chair, one of the aunties screamed. There was a small doll under the chair. It had a knife stabbed right through its chest. The whole place went silent. I saw Mr. Mensah pick up the doll with his bare hands. His face changed. He shouted for everyone to come inside. The family gathered in the living room. He asked, "Who put this thing under my daughter's chair?" No one answered. Even Christabel was crying and shaking. When no one spoke, Mr. Mensah took the doll outside, poured kerosene on it, and set it on fire. He said, "Whoever did this, your secret will not stay hidden." That night, he died. They said he collapsed around 8 p.m. while sitting on the veranda. The neighbors rushed him to the hospital, but he never made it. The doctors said heart failure. But everyone knew something wasn't right. The wedding plans stopped. The house became silent. Christabel cried every day. Sandra locked herself in her room most of the time. Yes, I tried to stay strong, but I often saw her sitting by the gate with red eyes. Comfort, the mother, was broken. She swore she would find out who was behind the doll and who caused her husband's death and deal with that person. The next morning, she packed a small bag and left. She said she was going to find answers. A week passed. Then one morning, she returned. Her face looked different, tired, dark around the eyes. She held a small brown bottle and a folded paper. That evening, she called everyone into the living room, the daughters, the cousin, some relatives, and even me and 2 other neighbors since we were close. She said she didn't want to hurt anyone, only the truth. She begged whoever did it to confess. She cried. Nobody spoke. So she said quietly, "Then the truth will come out by itself." At dawn the next day, we heard movement outside. When we peeked through the window, we saw the mother Comfort walking around the house barefoot, sprinkling the brown liquid while whispering something. She poured some at the gate, some near the doorway, some under the mango tree where the sisters used to sit. After that, everything was still. 3 days later, Sandra changed. She was no longer herself. Sometimes she would sit in silence for hours, staring at nothing as if her mind had wandered far away. Other times, she would suddenly burst into loud, heart-wrenching wails, crying as though something inside her was tearing apart. Then one afternoon, around 2 p.m., we heard a scream. We ran there. She was in the middle of the compound, barefoot, her eyes wide and wild. She shouted things that made no sense at first, words mixed with tears. She screamed, "I put it there. I put the doll under the chair." Everyone froze. Christabel kept saying, "Sandra, what are you saying? What do you mean you put it there?" I hid the doll under your chair because didn't want you to marry before me." Her voice shaking, eyes wide with the guilt. "I was not ready for the shame. I wanted to cripple you, so you would never be able to stand at your wedding. I didn't mean for father to die. I didn't know he will." Then she screamed again, her voice breaking. Her body stiffened, and she fell to the ground. Just like that, she was gone. Christabel cried like her heart was breaking. She was shook by the wickedness and the betrayal of her blood sister. Their mother didn't speak for days. She just sat in the living room, staring at the wall. Later people said the spirit man told her the truth was dangerous to reveal, but she was too determined. She wanted justice for her husband. But in the end, the truth took her daughter too. Kofi, the man who first proposed to Christabel, couldn't handle it anymore. He left quietly, saying he was scared. 2 years later, Christabel met another man, kind and patient. They married quietly. But everyone who saw her on that day said her smile looked empty, like someone who'd left her soul behind. After Sandra moved away with her husband, her cousin Grace also left with comfort to another town. And just like that, the Mensah family house was left behind, silent, abandoned. No laughter, no footsteps, no voices. Only an empty home. And the memories that refused to leave.